Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Nadir Qazi. I'm a skin restoration specialist in Newport Beach, California. I'm going to go through this particular patient for her acne scars. I focus a lot on scars, on pigmentation, and on acne and collagen stimulation. So I'm going to walk you through this particular case and really showcase how I could treat really severe scars, and I could do it really effectively despite the fact that this patient is Hispanic as well as a little bit older at 49 years old. We still were able to achieve amazing, beautiful results. And, I'm going to go through this because I think this particular case really is nice. It does dispel a lot of, I would say, stereotypes when it comes to scar treatments. A lot of people will think that you can't do scars on patients who are darker skin type. And here we have an example of somebody who got excellent, amazing results in darker skin type. She also was somebody with a bit of melasma as well. We didn't trigger her melasma, didn't make it any worse. And then the other things that it showcases is that the age of the patient doesn't necessarily matter as much as people think. This is a patient who's 49 years old, and we were still able to achieve these results. So, it's nice because I think it really just proves a lot of people, the way that a lot of people push scars, with microneedling or with tools and devices that don't help as much. And they can just kind of really, sit back and see that there is a way to improve scars the right way. And it just takes time. It takes a lot of effort, but there's a way to do it. And here we did this patient. This was 3 years ago. I still see her today because she comes in mostly for some Botox and things like that. And it's really awesome. So you can see we'll go through this case most of tonight. Alan is saying thoughts on Halo BBL laser for acne scars. Well, that's not going to help too much for scars. Neither the Halo laser nor BBL is going to help too much for acne scars. There's a lot of different reasons why, but Halo by itself, it's something that doesn't have as much heat and energy as just a fully, like an ultra pulse or AccuPulse or any of the other CO2 lasers that are out there, even DECA. It doesn't have that kind of energy that you could do for remodeling the tissue or like the thick edges of the scar. It just doesn't have the capability of doing that. But it still generates a little bit too much heat. So it's like, I'm not sure what you would really use it for when it comes to scars, because it could help, it'll help remodel a bit of the skin tissue, but it's not going to do enough, and you're still generating too much heat and energy for like a Hispanic patient like this. And you can end up running into a lot of problems with pigmentation down the line. And BBL is not going to help much at all for scars. It can help a little bit for the pigmentation part, maybe a little bit with the redness, but not going to help much for the scar itself. So not something that I would really recommend really at all for acne scars. And I've had a lot of people who were sold packages, from unscrupulous type of practices that sold them packages of 6 or packages of 3, whatever it is, and of like Halo with BBL and things like that. And like, imagine these kind of scars, they're doing that to somebody, and it's really, really unethical, really unfortunate that that's the case. Hopefully when you guys listen to this talk, you'll be able to come with a better understanding of how you could treat these things effectively. What did she get done? So this is a few different things. I did the first session, I did Taylor Liberator Subcision. I did also ablative CO2 laser. I did TCA Cross on her. I also placed some Bellafill in her for that first session. And then through the laser channel holes, I put a dilute form of Sculptra there to stimulate more collagen production. And then I saw her again, and I put some more Dilute Radiesse as well as Bellafill for the patient, and some more TCA Cross. So we did several rounds of TCA Cross as well. There's a lot that was involved with this really to get this to where it's at. And then I also did the Pico laser to help with her pigmentation, and also a peel as well. Ashley's saying that she loves Bellafill. Same with me. I do love it. Yeah, it's amazing for scars, especially. Also really, really nice for the temple area, because if you have volume loss, you could have something that stays there and it just continues to make collagen. It's really nice for patients who are active or otherwise like their weight can fluctuate a bit, and you can always have some support in there for the scar. there's very few things that could do that really, and Bellafill is the only FDA approved product for scars. So I think that has a little bit more validity too, because the data really does showcase that there's less chance of running into complications with Bellafill than there are with HA fillers. Interesting enough. So this was about 2 years for this patient. This is 2 years later for her. But we have done a couple things in between that time of those. So we started working on her in 2022. And quite a long journey for her really to get some improvement. A lot was with the resurfacing, with the TCA Cross, and then we had to do a lot with volume replacement. So that's where the volume was really important for her. Is it temporary since it's filler? So good question. So there's two forms of things that I did with her. I did Bellafill as well as Radiesse. I did Bellafill because that 20% of it will continue to stay there. And it's really nice because you always have some support there and you have something that's going to make some collagen there. And then the other product is Radiesse. And I did Radiesse because what we want is something to tighten the skin. So this patient, she's 49 years old. She lived a long time with her scars, and it caused a lot of laxity. So it was just really lax. It was just looser. And so I wanted to stimulate elastin production, and we ended up doing that with Radiesse. So that, it does stay with you. It's not going to be permanent with Radiesse, but the skin quality is still, to this day, still amazing. This is now 3 years later now, where she still looks incredible. But if she loses some volume, if she ends up losing weight, for example, at some point, then yes, we would want to keep up with that with some more Bellafill, for example. Something like that would be a good idea. But 20% of it's there. The thing is that we have to do things for volume. I understand that people are hesitant to putting in volume because you walk around and you see people that look overfilled all day long. If you're walking around like my area, or walking around in Beverly Hills, in Newport area, sometimes you'll see that it's just people are really they have too much filler. And I agree. I was in Chicago and I came over here and I was worried about how people were super overfilled. There's a way to do it. There's a way, and especially if you're doing more collagen production, things that are going to stimulate collagen and tighten the skin, we could get that there. We could actually improve the skin quality over time, and it looks awesome. So let's see, where was I at there? Where was I at? I missed a few things here. What is the best treatment for pitted scars from acne and hyperpigmentation for a 21-year-old? Well, it depends on what kind of pitted scars. You're talking about ice pick scars, or are you talking about, these kind of rolling scars? These are more rolling scars, some boxcar scars over there. If it's ice pick scars and then there's some hyperpigmentation, going to be a little bit complicated to try to do that at home. Really, that's going to be more like where we do TCA Cross. Sometimes we do laser, soften up the edges there. Sometimes we do excisions as well. But the hyperpigmentation part, I usually tackle that more robustly after we do the scar treatment. So first I place patients on a pigmentation cream to help prep their skin. This patient was on that as well. And then afterwards, we'll go back to that pigmentation cream to help with it. And if there's still some discrete marks, some pigmentation there, then when we have to use something like the Pico laser or potentially peels, things like that. What is Radiesse good for? Radiesse is basically a calcium product. It's really nice for collagen stimulation. Also, it's really good for tightening the skin, so that works out really well for patients. What's the time frame? This is about 2 years for this patient over here. Wish she made a YouTube video. Actually, I think you know what? I'll ask her at some point. I think she may be willing to. I'll try to see. She comes in every once in a while to help out, or just to get some Botox, things like that. So I'll try to see if she'd be willing to share that. She is completely Spanish speaking, so it'll be in Spanish if she does that though. Bao Kimi saying, was this only one round of treatment? Well, this was, the bigger combination session was one time, but we did do some more TCA Cross. We did do quite a bit of volume replacement with Bellafill as well as Radiesse. So there was a few different things I ended up doing for her. I missed a few things here. Was she still getting acne when she started treating the scars? No, actually, she just had severe damage. It was a significant volume loss, and she had some redness and some hyperpigmentation as well. And that's what you're seeing over there. It's not actually, it was acne. Can we get PRF under eye after CO2 fractional is healed? Yeah, that's no problem. It may sting just a little bit, but it's okay. do you have pictures of other parts of her face? Well, this is all I have right here. I don't remember. I have to double check to see if she lets us share her full face. A lot of times, like when we do it like this, it's because the patients don't let us share like everything. I'll have to see if she lets us share the full thing. She does. I'll ask her when she comes in next time, and she usually comes in a couple times a year for Botox, and I'll ask her if she lets us do something else for that though. She's like super happy, and I know she's actually talked to people also that she meets at like in the lobby. She said before too, and things like that. But I'll see if she's interested in it. I'll see if she lets us share like a video or something like that. Thoughts on Aerolase for acne? It's going to be pretty mild for acne. It's a 1064 laser that helps with the bacteria component of it, but it doesn't actually do too much for acne itself. A little bit of oil production, like it helps a little bit with that, but it's not going to help too much with that. It's a temporary type effect. I missed the thing. Life-changing result, Dr. Qazi. Thank you so much, Sailor Moon. It really is, honestly. It really is a life-changing result in this case. This was like one of these things that's a really, really rewarding result. Appreciate this patient so much because she came and it was like, she's really suffering at one point from her scars. Like imagine her entire life, she had these deep, deep acne scars. And, she didn't have good access to quality medications when she was younger. And like she had to be punished for that because that's the way the system is. It's unfortunate. And she couldn't get access to medications, and we all know medications are super expensive. And even if you have insurance, it's really pricey. And if you don't have insurance, it's exceptionally pricey. You end up with scars that are stuck with you forever unless you go to someone like me. And it's really, really tough. It's really tough. So a lot of you guys, by the way, thank you so much. I had a lot of people that tagged me in a video over the weekend. I really appreciate everybody that did that actually. And I saw that that person's scars were very, very serious scars. And, she was like crying and really like emotional about it. And if you look at it and look at all the comments there, so many people are so supportive of people. And it's really interesting. It's really, really amazing how supportive people are. And they're learning that other people are suffering from these things that they were also suffering from. And maybe you don't necessarily suffer from scars, but there's something else that you were self-conscious about. And it's nice that there's a nice supportive community now. And people are kind of moving away from like that bullying type of stuff that we were always seeing for so long, where people would just kind of say, oh, you don't need anything or look better before, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, imagine if you're that patient and you're like really happy on life, and then like the person just says all that stuff. It's like, man. So I appreciate, thank you guys for all the people who are saying that they tagged her in that video. I really, really do. I appreciate you because that was very, very serious scars, and it's something that I definitely recognize, with her suffering. It was like, I could see it. Does silicone tape help with the scars? When would you recommend it after CO2? So basically the silicone tape would help with like the thick edges of the scar. So to help actually preventing friction over there. And sometimes when you're sleeping, for example, you get a little friction and it gets a little bit thick there. So silicone tape will help with that. And it won't really help too much with like the atrophic part of the scar, but the thick edges of the scar, that's where it could actually improve it. So you're just asking, when can you do it after a CO2 laser? Sometimes usually about 10 days later or so, we could start that. For Hayat is saying, I have volume loss at my right cheek. What do you prefer, Subcision and Bellafill? Well, if it's just volume loss, we probably don't need to do Subcision. Just do straight up Bellafill. I would probably just go with that. By the way, how's it going, Kimmy? Good seeing you on too. What about for deep 11 lines? Well, with those, first of all, just Botox initially. That's the primary way of doing it. You could do laser as well, and then you could also do something like a little bit of filler as well. Usually I use hyaluronic acid filler for that area if we're going to do it, but I really want to make sure that the area is completely frozen. What can we do for teenage acne scarring? The best thing to do would be to start with tretinoin. The easiest thing to do just for teenagers, start with low dose tretinoin, 0.025. Start with that. Also make sure your oil is really under control. And then when you get a little bit older, we'll be able to help you out. 18 and older will help you out with doing more invasive treatments like this. Edgar is saying that he would be the perfect patient for me. I appreciate you, Edgar. I look forward to seeing you at some point. Hi, Mariam. Good seeing you on there. Thanks so much for coming on. Let's see here. Best alternative for black skin. CO2 isn't good for black skin. That's correct. I mean, I usually don't use CO2 laser for African skin, black skin. It is going to be a riskier procedure. In some small spots, we may do that, but I usually don't want to do something that's going to cause hypopigmentation, which is a real risk in darker skin types. But if it's like thick edges around the scar, you may have to do little focal spots of that. And instead of that, we could do TCA Cross, we could do Subcision, we could do Bellafill, and sometimes we could do something like the erbium laser as well. So all those could be options there, but it depends on how thick your scars are and what else we're seeing. Really, really important, critically important, control oil production though. Really, really important for that. Where was I at? Would oil control help with smaller nose? Yes, if your nose is really particularly oily, you may be noticing that may actually is making it look like it's a little bit thicker as well. So yes, controlling your oil could actually end up helping with that. Microneedling, no, microneedling is not going to help much. Actually, so that patient that I was talking, or that person that showed that viral video on the platform that everybody was tagging me about, a lot of people were saying do microneedling, and it's like, look at her scars. Guys, like scars that are deep, thick scars, it's not going to improve with doing microneedling sessions. This is never going to do it. You guys could do it over and over and over again, and it's not going to improve like that. So save your money. Don't do things like that, because I really do want everybody just to look at things and say, okay, we could get to a certain point. This particular patient, she knows also she's not perfect, but she's really, really happy at this point. But it takes a long time. It takes 2 years usually. And there's a way to do it. We have to do things with resurfacing. Really, we have to do things for volume replacement. And we have to sometimes tighten the skin as well. So there's a lot involved in making sure that we can get to that more complete result. And it's not going to happen with minimally invasive procedures like microneedling, really. It's just not going to stimulate enough collagen. It doesn't matter if somebody says you have to do 6, you have to do 12, you have to do 20, you have to do 100 sessions. It's just not going to be able to do enough. It really isn't. Best treatment for 10 to 15-year-old acne, PIE, BBL, and microneedling only improved 25%. Microneedling is not going to help really for the PIE, and also not going to help too much for the acne, if at all. So likely you have to do something that's more robust for your acne first, and that involves a lot of times controlling oil production. So you could do oral spironolactone. That could potentially be an idea. You could do topical retinoids. You could do isotretinoin or Accutane, or you could do the Accure laser. All options, but the last thing in that option would be microneedling for something like that. BBL could help for the active acne and then the PIE, but that's more like a quick temporary fix, especially if you have active acne. Got to control the acne better, really. So if you have acne, you really need to be on a better program for that. I had a patient that recently, she was saying that her, I don't remember who it was. It was somebody that changed her formula from she was on a retinoid, and then they placed her on this whole skincare regimen that the esthetician had or something like that. And it was $400, $600, something like that. And they took her off of the retinoid, and they were saying that that's bad for you. Instead of doing that, you should use this ridiculous skincare thing. And I don't remember. I think it was maybe it was even more than that. But it's it's really, really too bad, because there's a way to actually fix acne, and it doesn't have to cost that much money for the acute breakouts and things like that, really, for in terms of creams. So if it's resistant, you have to it's moderate to severe, then you might want to do some oral medications or use something like the Accure laser. But using a bunch of topicals that are just super expensive, it's face washes and toners, all this stuff, actually, and it may end up drying you out. And people are saying you should be double cleansing twice a day, things like that. You're just drying out your skin. And when you dry out your skin, you're actually going to try to produce too much oil. And as a result, you end up getting breakouts then from that. So, try not to get sold on a bunch of skincare products, basically. You reckon adapalene can do the same shown in the picture? No, that's not going to happen, really. This patient also, she was ultimately on tretinoin beforehand as well, things like that. That didn't solve it. And did it help with the oil? Yes, it helped with that, but it's not going to help with solving scars. If I used Accutane 2 years ago, can I still get treatment? Yeah, I mean, I could do scar treatments even while on Accutane. It just depends on what's happening. Subcision on rolling scars, was it super stuck? Yes, it was. It was super stuck. I wish she filmed this patient. So this patient actually, she did not let us initially share. That's why I was like, this is what it looks like right now. She was somebody who like initially was hesitant, and also, you know, it is understandable. I don't like pushing people at all. And it's like, you know, I'm glad she let me show it later on in the future. But at the time, I do understand why, because it was like very, very severe scars for her. And, you know, it's like, I don't think that she wanted it initially like where it was before, but then she's like extremely happy, and she's like, you know, and that sometimes happens. So sometimes it is nice that we could still film it, and then we could, like, you know, if you guys change your mind, we could always show it later, because that does happen sometimes where people, actually a lot of patients, they're like, okay, you know, it actually was okay, and I see the result, and you can share it. You can share it now, and I really, really do appreciate that. But I know some people say, I wish you could show the full video. But that's why it's like, I do like appreciate always whenever someone lets us share like videos and things like that, because it's like, I do understand there's like an emotional toll with it. Maybe causes a little bit more anxiety for some people too. We try to talk you through it, but my team is extremely professional, extremely good at it, and making sure people are very comfortable while we're doing this. And you still are in charge of the, you know, of the process while we're filming it. You know, just because we're filming it doesn't mean that you're, you know, a model or anything like that. You're a real patient, and I'm totally respectful of that. So you're totally in charge. But I do think that a lot of people in this community are really okay with educating, and like really okay with just like telling people that these are things that actually work, and showcasing that to people, which is really, really unique, I think. It's a lot different than a lot of other places that do like just potentially like facelifts or tummy tucks or things like that. In this world, people like know that they suffer and know that other people suffer as well. And it's nice that people could see that, you know, that there's hope, and there's process, and there's a way to do it. I saw he did a new Phenol peel. How did it go? It went awesome. He's still recovering. He's still wrapped up, and he did let us do a video. So he's from New Jersey though. So when I see him next time, hopefully we'll be able to follow up with and see where that result is there. He's going to need to do volume in the future. So first step, when I do Phenol, we did a week, or sometimes we do a week or a month beforehand. We do actually subcision, if we need to do subcision for the rolling scars. And then afterwards we do the Phenol, and then we do the next day, we do a manual dermabrasion, and we do some more Phenol for some areas. And then we essentially will see the patient again about 3 months or so afterwards for some volume replacement. So that usually is the way. Let's see here. I know I missed a bunch of questions, so I'll be able to help you out with this. Can we do video consult first before we start treatment? Dexter is asking me that. Yes, I do a lot. Most of my patients come from out of state, so I'll be happy to do that. I will be happy to do that. And someone's saying you got to do more videos like this type of patient because they're rare. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that I do a lot of different kinds of cases, a lot. And it's, you know, only 1 or 2 that will let me share some of the things, or even sometimes they're, you know, not necessarily local. This particular patient, she's more local, so I'm able to follow along with her regularly. But I'm happy to be able to, if somebody has severe scars and they're like, sometimes it's awesome. Some people are like, I want you to show every aspect. You know, there's a patient that comes on here all the time, and he's in the middle of his journey right now. Alan, he sometimes comes on here, and he's always, he has very, very severe scars, actually very similar to this patient's. And we are just like, you know, 6 months in his journey. So at some point, like, you know, a year and a half from now or so, it's going to look pretty close to this, I would say, for him, which is going to be awesome. And he comes on, and he just like, you know, he's all the way from the East Coast. So I have a lot of patients that sometimes come on here, and they'll say hi, and like they'll answer questions and things like that. And some of them do have very, very severe scars too. And it's really cool. Does microneedling and PRP help with minor acne scars? What are the benefits of doing that? Not really, honestly. I mean, with mild, really, really mild, it may help a little bit, stimulate a little bit of collagen production. Yes, it could do some of that, but it's definitely not my go-to for scars. And the PRP part just helps a bit with the healing time, but not going to help too much more for anything else, to be honest with you. Edgar is saying to show Alan. I have to pull him, get him to get it set up again for it. But I will show it, and then maybe at some point if he comes on, He could always say, I don't see him on tonight, but sometimes he just comes on. And so when he comes on, sometimes say if he could show my results, I'll try to get it more ready than for him. Let's see here. Where was I at? Appreciate you so much, by the way, Edgar. So I'll know to put his result. I'll try to showcase his result hopefully this week. Is there a plastic surgeon you recommend for a rhinoplasty? Which area are you in? I guess it depends. There actually are a few people actually nowadays, and I could probably give you some ideas. And it depends on what price range you're looking for. Wynique is saying, what is the price range for services for minor acne scarring, ice pick scars, mostly box scar, rolling? So it depends. Most patients spend about $5,000 to $7,000 on their scars. If it's more mild, it may be a little bit less than that because it just depends on how much volume we have to do. But it's usually about $5,000 to $7,000. I'll tell you, this patient, she did spend more than that. We had to do, it was much more complex. We had to do a lot more with volume. So her price point was different, but most patients are about $5,000 to $7,000. How many sessions did it take to achieve these results? So it wasn't done the same thing over and over again, but it was multiple sessions of a few different things. We did the first session, we did subcision, we did TCA Cross, we did ablative CO2 laser, as well as fractionated erbium laser. And then through the laser tunnel holes, they put a dilute form of Sculptra in there. And then I also did a little bit of Bellafill for her that day as well. And then I saw her again. I did some Radiesse and some Bellafill for her, and I saw her again, and also some more TCA Cross. I did some more of that, and we also did some Pico lasers for her as well for her pigmentation too. How long is the healing process for TCA Cross treatment? That's usually just a couple of days. It's really mild. You don't really even have to take time off of work, to be honest with you. Just putting a little bit of tinted sunblock is all you're going to do. Where was I? I missed a bunch of things there. Let me try to catch up. And I saw some people were saying I wasn't answering their question. You know, I try to get to all the questions. I come on here Monday through Thursday. So if I missed your question tonight, I'll be happy to help you tomorrow. As long as you were polite on here. I do notice the people that weren't too polite to other people on here. So I probably will just keep on skipping your question, to be honest with you, if you were not polite. But everybody else, like if I missed you, I'll be happy to, I come on here Monday through Thursday. I come at 9 p.m. and I try to just break this down and just kind of demystify this world a bit. And so I'll be happy to help you out. But like I said, if I happen to miss your question, don't feel bad. You could also DM me. I'll try to get to it tomorrow, and it'll be okay. Part of this world and scar world and everything else that I do is about being patient. Really, it is. So if you're not a particularly patient person, you probably aren't the best person for this, to be honest with you. It really is about being patient. It's like a lot different than you may expect. It's not like none of my results are like just like a week later or something like that. I don't showcase anything like that. Every single patient looks amazing 1 week later. Everybody does. It's just it's dishonest to showcase that way. These are treatments that go multiple sessions. So a lot of times it takes a long time to do to get that result, to get that improvement. And some people you may see like in the middle of their journey or the beginning of their journey, and I show it because I just want to show what you may expect in the beginning part of things. Some people let us show it only at the end of the journey, so we showcase that. So it just all depends. But I'm on there every night, so I show multiple different kinds of results and the whole spectrum of this process. So you could just kind of have an idea of what you may expect. If you have particular kind of scars over the course of 2 years, what you should be able to achieve. Even if you're 49 years old and you have very severe scars, it's like we could still be able to do it. How many sessions of TCA Cross if you have mild scars? It could be like anywhere from like 2 to 4 if it's really mild, but it depends on your collagen response. Essentially, if we want to combine it with laser. So sometimes using a laser to cut down some of those more mild scars gets a little bit faster for us. Hannah saying, I'm a Hispanic female, 26-year-old with ice pick and boxcar scars, little active acne. What treatments would you recommend? So for the ice pick scars, we'll do the TCA Cross, and for the boxcar scars, we probably do a little bit of Bellafill in those little pockets there. I missed a few things. I'm up is saying they're super grateful to be local. Looking forward to treating you. I'm up. Look forward to it. Appreciate everybody else, by the way. Thank you guys for coming on. I will just try to hit the last couple questions if I could. But I'm going to wrap it up though right now. Where was I at? I missed a bunch of things here. Is hydroquinone safe? I don't do it actually for my scar patients, actually. Interesting thing. I actually don't do hydroquinone. I don't pre-treat patients with hydroquinone. Boom. Pretty crazy, actually, when you think about that, right? Pretty crazy. Everybody's shocked by that. Like, well, at least they used to be. Now everybody knows. A lot of patients that listen to me know about that. But it's kind of crazy because that was just like the standard of care. You just have to do this. You got to do hydroquinone, and it's like you guys weren't treating darker skin types because you weren't seeing that if you do it in darker skin types, you could get hypopigmentation that way, and there's more risk involved with it. So I don't do it. I don't use hydroquinone. Now, maybe afterwards, if we need to, for some patients, we may do a little bit of hydroquinone here and there. But vast majority of patients, I don't do hydroquinone. Vast majority of patients. So interesting enough, it's kind of interesting. And I'm not a big fan of it. I do think that there's going to be more studies that are going to come out one day that'll showcase that there's a reason why a lot of countries ban it. Or are really worried about it, about the potential cancer risk too. For short term, 3 months, something like that, it's going to be fine. But I've seen people, they put them on like 12%, hydroquinone, and they'll have them on it for like 6 months or something like that. There's like a very famous, a company that does stuff online, and they've had many of my patients on like the 8 or 12% hydroquinone, and they had it on for months and months of time. And it could be catastrophic, the kind of pigmentation causes problems that could have, let alone maybe there's some other internal issues that may be causing. So I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest with you. So interesting enough, it's like all these people were pushing it and telling you to do it all the time. Like you just have to use hydroquinone, you just have to use hydroquinone. It's just not true. It's like they just said, oh, you can't do CO2 laser in this, you can't do TCA Cross in this, can't do Subcision, can't do this, and don't do Bellafill, don't do that. Like it's like, like maybe just guys, you didn't do it right. I don't know. I'm not sure why you were saying that. It just clearly wasn't true. And it's like possible, like when you use the laser, you're going too high settings. Like, I don't know why you go so high settings. Like everybody always asks, what's a setting? I go really low settings, actually. I go really low settings. And it's like shockingly low for some patients because it's like you don't need as much heat and energy as you think. It's more localized where the scars are. I go precisely where the scars are. I go and smooth that area down. And it's a lighter blend elsewhere. So you don't have to bulk heat like crazy the whole face. It's just not true. This patient, we did do a bladed CO2 laser. I did have to, in her case, do most of the face with a bladed CO2 laser, but where it's like thicker, I went a lot stronger. Those areas, a lot lighter blend elsewhere. And clearly it worked out really, really well. There's ways of doing this that I think that, we're going to unlock a whole bunch more. This is just like, we're just hitting the surface of it, to be honest with you. To be totally honest with you, where we are right now, it's just the surface right now. There's so much more that we could be able to uncover. And I'm excited actually, because we're getting a lot of younger doctors that are interested and excited about this stuff too. And they're looking at this, and they're realizing that maybe the stuff that they were trained with wasn't the exact way of doing it. And, they're learning new techniques and like maybe they're going to be able to push into whole nother direction too, which would be awesome. I mean, really, really great. I think there's a way that we should all cooperate. It's like not everything has to be a competition in this world. We could just cooperate and like try to work on things. Look at what these guys did with DeepSeek. Have you guys been paying attention to this? They made an open source model and they just threw it on the internet, and it's just as good as GPT. And it's like, it's crazy. And they did that. And it's like, you could just cooperate with people. You just help people and like how other people could just like build on it and make things better. And we could do that in the scar world. And that'll be really cool. I want to make this like an open source scar world. And here we go. And here's how you could do things. Try to figure out other ways to improve things and get better and better results. That's cool. Let's do it. I'm open for it. Let's just keep on doing it and keep on getting the best possible results out there for everybody, so that people just don't have to suffer from this. It'll be awesome if people don't have to suffer from these issues anymore. Just like, I don't know if everybody understands. Like, just imagine this patient, 49 years old, for so long on her face, she had these deep, deep scars, deep volume loss, and she was judged prematurely just because of that skin condition. And it occurred when she was 16 years old, 18 years old. She had a big breakout at that time, and then she was suffering for decades. It's really, really terrible. It's one of the few conditions that are like that. That's something when you're younger, it occurs, and then you're just stuck with it for so long. And it disproportionately affects poorer patients or patients who didn't have access to certain cream medications and certain creams. I'm definitely not pre-recorded ready, but as I said earlier, the key for these scar treatments is to be patient. So I will get to your question at some point, but patience. And if you're not as patient, you really are correct that I probably am not going to be the physician for you. I really am not going to be, because this is about patience. And I expect that patients that come to me understand that. They understand that this is a journey, and people do, by and large. They understand that this is that journey. And part of what I do with these lives is some of it's just weeding out people that are not patient and maybe don't like hearing about poverty and hearing about like the socioeconomic reasons why people have acne and have scars. And honestly, it's like, I don't know if I necessarily have to treat those people. I really don't. I guess like it'd be nice when other people could treat these things and then you could go to them. But there's a lot of people that also have that worldview and they love to just enjoy putting a bunch of random products on people, spending, making you pay $3,000 for creams and things like that. And go for them, go to them, do it and see how it goes. Really, see how it goes for you. This is I have curated my patient population exceptionally well, and it's awesome. I get to enjoy my life really, really well. So it's really good. I need acne treatment. Is someone saying, so if you mean acne treatment, I could help you with acne, and of course I could help you with the scar portion as well. I'll be able to help you with either of those options. So yeah, the acne and then also the scar portion as well. What was the scar treatment on this patient? This was with Subcision. This was ablative CO2 laser. This was with Dilute Radiesse, Bellafill, TCA Cross, multiple different things all together in this particular case. So not just a single type of solution for her. We did do multiple steps. We did it initially with that Subcision, ablative CO2 laser, TCA Cross, and then we also did some more volume replacement in the future. So this was a course over 2 years. I still see this patient to this day for more for Botox, things like that. Let's see. Melly saying, Reddit scared me when I see so many people scared me about how nothing fixed their acne scars. So I think, there's positives and negatives with all these type of things. Reddit could be very good because it's, there's going to be people that you could connect with and potentially could give you some sort of pathway to how you may treat things. But at the same time, you have to remember that a lot of patients, like this particular patient, for example, she's never going to be on Reddit, I would say, just knowing her personality and things like that. But there's a lot of people out there that just do things and they may not necessarily go back to the world of, scars or anything like that because it's, potentially depressing or it's, something that may bring them down. They're just happy in life now. They don't need to go. They don't want to go back to that world again. They just moved on in life. And so it's it's like that a lot of different places. If you look at it, there's all sorts of different communities where they're trying to solve a problem, but it's the people that are trying to solve the problem still that are in that community. The people that have already solved it don't really tend to go back. They may go back for a little bit of time, but usually then they kind of move on with their life. Then they're happy. They have a family. They have a partner or something, and they're just enjoying life now. It's really tough now to go back and forth with people and potentially trolls or things like that, or people that don't don't trust that you did a procedure or something like that, and they just get I don't want to have that energy for this. I'm just going to move on in life, and I'm happy. And that's the vast majority of people. Just remember that things are going to be pretty skewed when it comes down to it. So it's I wouldn't really necessarily pay too much attention to, the way people are if you're finding that people say that nothing works for them, things like that. And also there's a wide variety of people all over the place. Sometimes I see on my feed, someone will say I did Subcision before, it didn't work. And they're not my patient. And it's I've gotten haircuts before and they weren't great haircuts. It's okay, I'm not if I see someone's a hairstylist and they got a haircut and they put a haircut out there and I'm I got a haircut once and it was a bad haircut. And how helpful is that now to anybody in the community that is looking at this person's page? It's this dude did the haircut for it, but I got a bad haircut one time, and so I'm going to put this on the comment section. It just doesn't make any sense, honestly, when you think about that sometimes. So it's you go to a different person, you go to do somebody that's maybe not experienced with this or just doesn't know really what they're doing with palpation of how to feel the skin, and they're doing subcision, all those type of things, and you may not have the best results. It's true. You may have volume loss. You may do so many different things, but it didn't necessarily go to me. So same type of thing, honestly. So I see somebody see that. It's like, I look at that, I'm like, this person's saying I didn't get a result, but like, they're not even my patient. I never even seen this person before. And you ask them, it's like, yeah, I got it done somewhere else, but I don't think laser works for it. But like, it's just like me saying, I don't like, I got a facial one time. I didn't like the facial. I don't believe in facials anymore. And because it was not, it wasn't good. It's silly. So I don't know, just think like, or just recognize that sometimes. How do you feel about high level CO2 laser? I did it on this patient, really high level actually on this patient, really high level actually. This was one of the highest levels for her because it was very, very thick. In fact, I actually don't think that the before photo shows quite as thick as it was. To be honest with you, when you looked at her skin initially, it was very, very thick. It was almost leathery thick, her skin. So I really had to remodel and work on those thick elements for her scars. And I did it. Really, it took a long time. I'll tell you that. I spent a long time tracing those scars, and it was really, really worthwhile at the end because we ended up just basically getting so it's as soft as possible for her. Really cool. Really nice. So honestly, that's what I want to talk about today. I had a lot of people last week that was asking for more severe cases. So here's a situation, more severe cases. More severe cases, it takes a long time. And very, very few of my severe cases let me share results. And we have to get basically someone like this who's a patient local and who comes in also for like Botox and things like that, so that we could be able to see like that fuller journey. So we got that, and it's like you get that over time. Like took 2 years to be able to get that. So there we go. This is from 2022 is when we first started working on it. So a long, long time. So I will showcase the rest of this week some more cases and some more things that you guys are asking about and the questions here. I'll be happy to help you out with all those things. And hopefully, even if you're far away from me, you can't afford me, things like that, that's okay. I want you at least to know that when you're going down the journey to kind of see what things you should potentially ask, what are the treatment options that you could potentially have for your kind of scars, and at least you'll have a little bit better understanding, so that way you don't end up having to waste a lot of money, a lot of time, and trauma from just post-laser, post-recovery, post-acne scar type of thing, or treatments that people are doing on you. DigiStim is saying, I appreciate you doing these live chats. I'm excited as I have a consult with you in a couple of days. Really looking forward to meeting you, DigiStim. Make sure you tell me that's you, so I'll remember that there. And Axel saying, acne scarring definitely is traumatizing, takes a mental toll. Dr. Qazi is amazing and knowledgeable. Appreciate you, Axel. I really do. I really do. I appreciate all of this. I think we have a great community on here. So prices, so most patients are $5,000 to $7,000. This patient, much more complex. It costs more than that. So now you're looking potentially double digits really for a case like this. So just so you're aware, in more transparency for that. So, we do, someone's asking about financing. We do almost all the financing options. We do care credit. Almost everybody's doing cherry nowadays, like a lot of cherry. A lot of patients have told me themselves that they liked cherry. It was really easy. So, if I hear other things, I'll let you know. But like so far, that's what everyone's saying. And yeah, it is worth it. The thing is that I take it super seriously, and the thing of it is I run a lot of my patients from older, like that I worked on for like 7 years ago or so. I sometimes see them at like, a lot of them are like local area, things like that. I see them at the mall, see them at like the parks, things like that. It's like very important to me that like I see patients and I run into them and like they're looking great. You walk into like a birthday party, sometimes you may see like a patient that was there and it's like, okay, awesome. It's like, it's really cool. Like I want to feel like comfortable and confident in what I'm doing every single time that like, okay, here it is. And even sometimes I'm out of state and I run into people and things like that. I've done, I had, it was up to last year. Now it's more than that though. I think it's like 15,000 something, 16,000 patients total now. And so it's like, there's a lot of patients from all over the world too. And like, I want to make sure when I'm running into people, it's like, I'm very happy and satisfied with what I'm seeing too. Like I'm happy that you're happy, but I'm looking at you. I want you to look natural. I want you to look great. I want your pigmentation to be excellent. So all those things really, really matter to me. It's just like, it makes me happy. Like running into people at like the park, at like the, at the mall, things like that. I don't mind if you guys come up to me. I usually don't come up to you per se because you may be with your partner or someone doesn't know. But I sometimes see you guys and it's like, it's really cool. So just so you know, it's like, I definitely want to always have that. Like we just just make sure that I just hit it like so well. And that's why I spend, like, if it's a case like this, I'm just going to keep on working it so that we can just improve that to level we need to. And she knows she has a little bit of texture, a little bit of scarring still, a little bit of volume loss, but she's happy at this point. She's okay. This is about 2 years. This is a course of over 2 years there for this patient. So awesome. Really, really happy. Really, really glad. I mean, mine isn't that bad, but I need something of this sort. Cecilia, I'll be able to help you out. Yeah, we do. Most of my cases that I showcase on here, those patients are more mild cases, moderate, mild to moderate, different kinds of scars. So I'll be happy to showcase that this week as well. But a lot of those are more like in the middle of the process too, like they're in the beginning of the journey still. I now will finish with one last question. So if there's one pressing question I really missed, I'll be able to help you guys. Where was I at though with all this? But I appreciate everybody else though, by the way, for their comments. Is it true that filler never fully dissolves, so it builds up your face over time? I don't love hyaluronic acid filler superficially because I don't think that it dissolves as easily as other products. Like even like a calcium-based product like Radiesse gets absorbed really well. But the way I do it is I just do in multiple different layers typically, so it's not going to run into that problem. A lot of times I do my filler very deep to the bone, and then sometimes I'll do some of the filler just like superficially, like some of the Dilute Radiesse, for example, things like that. Is there some kind of skin preparation before any procedure? Yeah, I usually use a pigmentation cream, moisturizer, sunblock. That's usually what I end up doing. All right, guys, thank you all so much. I'll be able to see you